ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
Results continue to come in from Georgia in two of the most expensive and consequential U.S. Senate races. If Republicans win even one of those seats, they'll keep control of the Senate, potentially blocking much of President-elect Joe Biden's agenda. Good evening. I'm Kimberly Hunt. In the last 10 minutes, ABC just called Senate Seat 2. Democrat Raphael Warnock leads Senator Kelly Loeffler by 40,000 votes at the moment. The other race, Jon Ossoff, now leading David Perdue by 3,500 votes. And here's ABC's Zohreen Shah with the full breakdown.
Georgia voters have now cast their ballots in a decision that could flip the balance of power in the Senate and possibly determine the trajectory of Joe Biden's presidency.
The future of the country is on the ballot here in Georgia today.
Y'all sound like you're ready to win an election. That's right. It's within reach.
Many voters are aware how consequential a vote for Republican Senators Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue or their challengers, Democrats Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff, could be for both their state and the nation.
It's a lot. My phone has been vibrating. Have you voted? Do you have a voting plan? Have you told 3 friends to vote?
Polls show races as neck and neck. If both Democrats win, they'll control 50 seats in the Senate, as will Republicans, with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris as the tiebreaker. President Trump has been trying to do everything in his power to keep that from happening. During a rally for the Republicans in Georgia Monday, he rallied against election officials, but also insisted he won the November election in the state.
There's no way we lost Georgia. There's no way. That was a rigged election.
The state's election officials, who are all Republican, now find themselves in a tricky position.
The Secretary wants me to make clear that everybody's vote is going to count.
The Secretary of State has asked counties to report how many ballots they received by 1 p.m. tomorrow, so we should know at that point how many votes are still outstanding. Zohreen Shah, ABC News, Atlanta.
A final presidential election showdown tomorrow. Congress will convene to officially certify the Electoral College results, with Joe Biden defeating President Trump. And Vice President Mike Pence has the ceremonial role of leading the procedure. But tomorrow, more than 100 Republican House members and 11 Republican senators will formally object to the results. They say Pence should reject the results in close states over false allegations of widespread voter fraud.
I hope that our great Vice President comes through for us. He's a great guy. Of course, if he doesn't come through, I won't like him quite as much.
Constitutional experts say Pence does not have the power to decide not to accept the results. The president does not appear to have enough votes in either the House or Congress. Joining us now this evening is litigator and University of San Diego law professor Craig Barcus. Thank you again, Craig, for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's start where we left off. What power does Vice President Pence really have to stop what is happening tomorrow?
Well, your story is spot on. His role has been described as being something of an MC. He really doesn't have any constitutional power to change the outcome of the election. It's clear President Trump is hopeful that he can do something, but there are reports that Vice President Pence has indicated that he really cannot take any steps to advance the interest of President Trump.
And jaw-dropping what's happening in Georgia. So let's switch to that now. Republicans tonight have to be looking at this and just screaming, how did this happen? Quite possibly losing both seats in the state of Georgia?
Yeah, I think if anyone had said that the control of the Senate was going to come down to whether the Democrats could win 2 seats in Georgia, I think people would have been highly skeptical. But it appears tonight the Democrats have won 1 seat for sure. It's been called in Warnock's favor. And it looks like Ossoff has pulled ahead, and the outstanding votes tend to lean Democratic. So it looks like the Democrats may have pulled off that sweep.
Mm-hmm. And if both Democrats do win, it does more than just clear a path for President Biden's agenda. It really also can affect things such as his cabinet picks. Explain that.
Without a doubt, the cabinet has to be approved by the Senate. So clearly, if the Democrats are in control, they'll have that advantage. All the committee chairmanships will be controlled by the Democrats. What reaches the Senate floor will be controlled by the Democrats. I mean, a good example would be recently we had this issue with the $600 stimulus check versus the $2,000 check. There were probably enough votes in the Senate, by all indications, to actually up that stimulus check from $600 to $2,000. But that was something that Mitch McConnell was not willing to put on the Senate floor. That's something that will be advanced now.
All right, much to watch out for tomorrow. We will keep in close contact. Always appreciate your expertise. Thank you, Craig Barcus, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
And a judge is throwing out the pension reform that the city of San Diego voters passed back in 2012. And to refresh your memory, Prop B eliminated pensions for city workers and replaced them with 401ks. The union representing city workers sued, saying the proposition violated state labor laws because the city didn't negotiate with the union before supporting that change. Well, tonight, Prop B supporters say the judge should not have ignored the will of the voters because of a procedural ruling. And new San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria calls Prop B a disaster. He says the city will work to chart a new course forward. Carlsbad will not take stricter enforcement against businesses in violation of the public health orders. The city council considered the move in a meeting earlier this evening, but as ABC 10 News reporter Anthony Perez shows us, the idea never even got a vote.
This was State Street in Carlsbad Tuesday night. People dining in at some restaurants despite a stay-at-home order that limits them to takeout. Many of the business owners have been pushing back against the rules since last month. At the same time Tuesday night, the Carlsbad City Council was engaged in a virtual meeting discussing stricter enforcement of public health orders. According to city officials, penalizing businesses violating the rules require district attorney action and jury trials. The city was considering instituting administrative fines starting at $100 and growing to as much as $500 for repeat offenders. This is what happened after council member Corey Schumacher made the motion.
Mayor, the motion's on the floor. If I could just see if I have a second, and then we can move on to whatever discussion.
Okay, I don't see a second.
Without a second, the motion never moved on to a vote and failed. That moment came after nearly 4 hours of public comment about stricter enforcement. More than 120 people had signed up to speak, and while a few were in support of it,
punishment isn't ideal, but people are clearly not listening and they need to get the message. People are dying. This is not funny.
An overwhelming majority called to say they were against the stricter enforcement.
These businesses are operating safely. Prove to us that they are not. If you don't want to go out to dinner, then stay home. That's your right. But stop infringing on ours.
In a statement, Schumacher said in part, the outcome of tonight's meeting sends the wrong message to those in willful violation of the public health order during a very critical moment in the COVID crisis, that we're going to look the other way. In Carlsbad, Anthony Pura, ABC 10 News.
The new variant of coronavirus is spreading throughout San Diego County. The county reported another 24 cases of the more contagious strain today, along with 4 probable cases. Overall, there were 1,800 new cases in the county, bringing our total to 172,000. 56 more people lost their lives to COVID, bringing that total to 1,600.
When I was on the floor under the smoke, my better brain clicked in and said, you only got a few seconds.
Only a few seconds to help her neighbors get out of a house that was engulfed in flames. We're hearing tonight from the unlikely hero who stepped in to help before firefighters arrived. Our ABC 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo shows us this 76-year-old grandmother never hesitated to run into the burning house.
The neighbor doesn't usually get home as early as she did last night, and just by chance, she got there just in time.
This is what Marty saw as she was driving towards her home just off of Otay Lakes Road in East Chula Vista Monday night.
You just see a flame. You didn't see smoke. And then you realize, oh my God, it's fire.
Her neighbor's home was on fire. Marty jumped out of her car.
And I went running over and I started pounding on the side till, getting their attention because the doors were closed and they were in there.
Eventually, a man made it out of the home but said a woman was still inside. Without thinking twice, 76-year-old Marty crawled inside the burning home.
So I was able to crawl in a little, and I'm saying maybe 3 feet. You don't do very much at my age.
She could hear the woman coughing and gasping for air.
I managed to touch her ankle, so I was able to stand up and grab her clothes, because you just grab in the thin air, and then when you got something, you pulled it. And so both of us fell back outside. And then down the stairs.
Marty and the 2 neighbors she had just saved were rushed to the hospital for smoke inhalation. The grandmother of 3 thinks she did nothing special.
I did anything anybody else would have done with the same. You if you have a conscience, or you're a human being, you do it.
Marty's daughter, who rushed to the scene last night, took this picture of her mom and a firefighter, proving that heroes do come in all sizes.
Yeah, she saved her life for sure. So she can say no, it's okay. She's humble.
In Chula Vista, Laura Acevedo, ABC 10 News.
Humble and brave. Late tonight, Chula Vista firefighters were called back to that scene after a flare-up on the property. Crews removed burned debris and sprayed the inside of the home. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. The condition of the homeowners still unknown.